he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
For PrisonPlanet.tv viewers watching the simulcast radio show, we're showing the video of Pittsburgh. G20 admitted that, quote, secret private mercenaries were dressed up as military, grabbing protesters and throwing them into cars. We just showed that video. We'll show it again. Why do I raise this point now? They admit Blackwater, other groups are going to be used inside the U.S. The L.A. Times and the Washington Times both reported in 1993 and again in 1994 that George Bush Sr. brought in 3,200 plus Iraqi Republican Guard trained in the 80s by the CIA, brought them in out of Iraq. They were involved at Elohim City with McVeigh and others in the Black Op. We know that then Clinton brought in an additional 2,000 plus, over 5,000 total. We know they're intimately involved with security firms as their cover. I'm just throwing that nexus point out. We don't know if this group's associated with that, but we need to track them back to the Iraqis because this is Arab run. Now, stopping there, we have all of this going on. We have this FEMA center that the town mayor and others were saying, we don't know why. It was just built here. They wouldn't say what it was for. Black SUVs showed up with the term hardened police, which are not part of the police department. There's a county there, no police in the small town. They're telling people, don't talk about it, don't talk to us, you'll find out what it's for. Prisoners are about to be here. From the evidence, Obama said that in Wyoming and Montana, they had built camps that they were going to put the people from Camp X-Ray at Guantanamo Bay in and other black sites in Eastern Europe and Asia, moving them there. They've also on the news, U.S. News and World Report, shown a Supermax that's closed in Montana that they're going to put people in. I believe this should be followed up on. From the pieces I have, I believe that's what's happening here. Steve Quayle, you just heard those analysis points for the first time. Do you concur?
Oh, I absolutely concur, but it's even beyond that, Alex. Here's the deal.
Recap it all. I'm going to shut up. Recap it all.
Every one of your listeners must go to the Internet and type in Cabazon, C-A-B-A-Z-O-N, plus CIA. And what you're going to find out, you'll find the history of what went on the Indian reservations. Hardin, Montana is in the area of one of the largest Indian reservations in Montana. Indian reservation is a Native American reservation, is a separate legal entity, and basically the intelligence communities, look, nobody could take down a website. Well, I'm on a phone conversation with that much authority to even go into the Wayback Machine, which is a machine you can check stories out on the Internet that have disappeared off of their original host site. No one has that kind of power except the major intelligence organizations of the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably one of the most sophisticated, clandestine, run programs in the country, and it all has to do with what Alex
said. And we don't even have the video now. We should have captured it. In fact, I meant to tell the guys, but they're overworked to capture that. I had a bad feeling earlier today. We played the audio, but before we could get to the video, I wish somebody would have, I bet one of our listeners grabbed it to put it on YouTube. In fact, check YouTube, go to YouTube, type in Hardin, Montana, camp. And I bet it's on YouTube. The second you see it, get it before they bring it down. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, again, you need to understand that the original owner that's being represented on this whole American police force is a guy by the name of Edward Angelino. He's known by all his aliases, okay? And all of the names I read to you, the different aliases and spelling them out, obviously he's got a foreign, it sounds like maybe an Iranian who is the spokesman for the attorney for the group that just came on 30 days ago. So what we're trying to do, Alex, is you and I are trying to give the listeners, our cooperative listeners, meaning those that are all
the intel patterns to follow to get us the info.
Absolutely. And the thing is that the idea is that every single, now here's, ladies and gentlemen, we're teaching you something, and this is critical. All of the addresses are virtual addresses, Alex. They don't exist.
That was admitted in the local news, that it's a shadowy group based by the White House.
Right. I'm getting emails asking me...
By the way, that address is very close to the Iraqi Friends Committee, the group with Chalabi. I noticed that this morning.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Let's spell it out really simply. They anticipate an event, a false flag. It will either be nuclear or the vaccination biological. And by the way, we posted the story, I'm sure you're aware of it, that the Canadians have come out and said the H1N1 vaccine is initiating the flu. Gee, you and I talked about that months ago, and that they're not going to recommend vaccination, so they're going to have to come up with a false flag. I think, what was it, the History Channel or someone?
2 different groups of neighbor kids in my neighborhood took it and got sick.
Yep. But I think the thing that everyone's got to realize is this. Those camps exist for a reason. We've told the background of the garden plot. We've told...
Look at Tennessee. Look at Ohio. All these shut down state prisons now being run by Homeland Security, just sitting there.
Right, and look at the way the whole Pittsburgh... I mean, you had Jason and others there. I mean, look at the whole initiation. This is... I've got a very important story, Alex, and it's the militarization of the police force on my website today, SteveQuayle.com, QUAYLE.com, that everyone has got to realize.
Well, Steve, I mean, we've got the mayors, and I meant to play this today. In fact, cue those mayor clips up. I'll send you from the news later when you get a chance. It's in your IMs, where the police chiefs just say, look, you're not allowed to be on the street. And if you are, we attack you. I mean, this is an incredible martial law admission. That is martial law. Well, and here's the thing. I've told everybody this. They didn't believe me. Under the Model Emergency Health Powers Act, which you and I have spoken about, they have STK orders. Those are shoot-to-kill orders. The point is that I'm getting people saying, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. They can under the InfraGard that's been covered by mainstream news. They can even deputize private people with license to kill 007 power. But let me stop you, Steve. Recap, for those that don't know what we're talking about, what's going on in Hardin, where it is, what the newscasts were saying, you knew about this before it was on the news. Give us the scoop. The bottom line is a $27 million prison facility. It's not just a jail. It's $27 million. No, we had the video. I wish we would have saved it. It was a giant FEMA camp. Absolutely. And it exists in the realm of an Indian reservation. Hardin, Montana is about 45 miles east, actually southeast to Billings, Montana. Billings, Montana is 130 miles away from where I live in Bozeman. So what we're talking about is the need for, now, ladies and gentlemen, figure 10 to 16,000 acres. That would obviously encompass a lot of the Native Americans' reservation land. The problem is the jail facility is a giant FEMA camp being manned by foreign mercenaries who not only have no legal jurisdiction, but have basically are there under orders from some very powerful international mercenary groups. And let me stop you. You're not saying this. They brag they're an international merc group in Bosnia, in Serbia, in Iraq, all over the world doing secret ops. There are these black SUVs that say Hardin Police, and the local officials are going, yeah, we've been told they run the camp and that they run the town now. I mean, this is Twilight Zone. Well, it's not even Twilight Zone. It's a full implementation of the balkanization of the United States. Alex, years ago, and this is critical, you've got to let me say this. Years ago, when I was interviewing Cold War spies and ex-spies from both sides of the Iron Curtain, they told me the United States is already scheduled to be balkanized. And when we went on the Model Cities exchange programs with different countries around the world, the idea of foreign troops being brought into the United States to keep the order of the disintegration of the United States, we're being balkanized. So the interesting thing, too, on the American police force, they have the Serbian national crest, okay? And obviously one of the guys that's running it is Serbian from Montenegro. But the point is, why do you have a Serbian crest on an American police force site that exists in the virtual realm? You, ladies and gentlemen, this is a major intelligence cutout, and in case everybody can't figure it out, Rex 84 and all the programs to enslave, imprison, and destroy. And for the record, Alex, what's the interesting thing about Guantanamo Bay is a lot of the torture that's gone on there can go on Indian reservations because they're not under the same laws of the United States. Well, just like they stuck it under a special Guantanamo Bay, which was this weird no man's land. That's a great point, Steve. What are you knew about this before it was in the news. Yeah, what are your intel sources saying specifically? My intel sources are saying specifically that an event is going to be generated in the next several weeks. Now, look, these guys are as tuned in as they can, but obviously there are things that change that. Everybody wants you or I to give them a day or an hour. We can't do that. We can tell them, look, everything is in place. There's 7,000 Blackwater Z
employees up on the Canadian border in Kalispell, Whitefish, Montana. That's the number we're told from the inside sources. The amount of foreign troops in Montana right now, it's not just Montana, Michigan, every other border state that borders the Great Lakes or borders the Canadian border has their pre-positioned men and materials there, that there is going to be the false flag, Alex, that we've warned about and warned about and warned about.
Now, the locals are getting upset by these black Mercedes SUVs that have Hardin, Montana on them and then the double eagle crest, just announcing, "We are your police." This is insane. Men with foreign accents stomping around. I mean, this is Red Dawn happening.
It